And as you are making your plans for 2022, that is how scammers are also making their plans for the new year. And they're looking for better ways to be able to scam you and take your hard-earned money. So if you want to know how you can spot a fake job application, because that is one of their strategies, please stick around for this video. Let's roll. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faith. I'm an HR professional and event host based in Toronto, Canada. If this is your first time here, please do not go without using the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell as well. And to my returning viewers, you guys rock. Thank you so much. So this video is all about how you can spot a fake job application. As an HR professional, I see it every time, and people, send me DMs or whatever and say, oh, I got this offer and all of that. Sometimes when you look at it, even yourself, you'll be like, okay, this is not right. So I decided to do this video because I want to just mention a few things and a few signs or tips that you can look out for in order to spot this fake job application. So I'm going to be holding my phone because I took some notes and I don't want to miss out on any of those notes, okay? Now, if the application sounds too good to be true, because most times they make these offers look very juicy so that you are, so that you fall prey. Obviously, if it's not enticing enough, then it will not catch your attention, right? So if it's too good to be true, when you look at it and you're like, this doesn't look right, or the pay is above what that job ordinarily pays in the market. Now, one of the ways you can check how much a job goes for in the market is to use websites like Glassdoor or PayScale, where you can check some of these things out. So just type the employer's name and the job. You'll be able to, in fact, not even the employer's name, just the job. You'll be able to see at least on the average what that job pays. And then you're now seeing an offer that is giving you maybe almost even 2 times what the job ordinarily offers. Like, that already should give you an insight to the, to let you know that, look, this doesn't sound right. So that is one of the ways that you can spot a fake job offer. Now, another way as well is you need to look at the job description. Most times it is very vague. Oftentimes it is filled with grammatical errors. The truth is, before a reputable company puts out a job ad, there's a lot of review that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. So the review process is usually thorough. So for you to just be seeing grammatical errors flying up and down, I mean, if it's 1 or 2, hey, it may happen. But just grammatical errors flying up and down, or the English is not exactly, the tenses are not right, then you know that there's something fishy going on. Oftentimes it's even very vague. You will just see a job description that says, oh, remote work, this and this, 30 hours per week. They don't even really tell you what exactly you'll be doing, Sometimes they will take the pain to actually make a very strong job description. But oftentimes when you see the ones that are, just vague and the ones that have grammatical errors, that should already be a flag that, look, this one is not a job that I should be applying for. Now, another thing as well is that if it's a job that you didn't even apply for, because some people do get offers like that. I know how many offers I've gotten. When I was looking for a job, I put my resume on job sites like Indeed.ca, I think on Monster as well. So some of these scammers, I don't know, maybe they find a way of hacking into these job boards. I really don't know how it happens. But you will just see that somebody will just randomly send you an email and say, oh, we're looking for HR professionals, this, 30 hours a week, and you know that you didn't apply for this job. It's just random. That is a red flag. That is something that you need to, because let's be honest, I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, that you can get a job that you didn't apply for, but what are the odds, right? What are the odds? The job market is very competitive. Employers are looking for the best candidates. Now, then they just randomly give you a job without even anything. Another thing as well is that sometimes it doesn't even require any interviews. Someone just says, oh, we saw your resume and we think that you're going to be right for this job. Like, you don't even interview me. You don't even know what skills per se that I have. And then you're just giving me an offer. I've seen those ones happen. And those ones are actually very easy to spot, because let's be honest, why would an employer not even want to interview you before giving you an offer? Okay, so those are some of the things that you need to look out for. Now, There are some where you've gotten the offer and they now start to tell you, maybe they did everything, because I've heard a story where the lady said they did everything right. Like, they interviewed her, everything was fine, and then they gave her an actual offer of employment. But then the next thing, they said something like, maybe something about the accounting department, they're just trying to restructure it or something like that. But bottom line, they needed her to use her account, they needed her to use her account to transfer some money to someone. In that situation, they are probably even using your account for money laundering and you don't even know. So they will send you, in some situations, they will send you the money and then they will tell you that you should send this money to XYZ account. So you will just send it. They will tell you, because you are new and they're still trying to figure out like the finance team or something is wrong with the accounts team. They will give one story that sounds, well, let me use the word believable. I don't know. Well, frankly, I won't even believe that kind of thing. But hey, it works, right? So they'll give you that kind of story and then you have to now send money to somebody's account. That already should tell you that, look, this one, just run. In fact, at that point, don't worry, I'll go into things that you need to do if something like this has happened to you, if you have already fallen victim. I'll talk about that later in this video. So those are some of the things that you need to look out for. In other scenarios, they will tell you that, as part of your, since you're new and, you're still under the probationary process, that you need to pay for certain equipment or something. They will tell you something, then you will need to pay for it, and that's how your money will just go. So there are different stories, there are different crafty stories that they come up with. So you just have to be vigilant and actually pay attention to these things. Another thing is that sometimes they would ask you for personal information that ideally you shouldn't even, a regular company won't ask for. Sometimes, yes, some companies ask for very detailed personal information. Like in Canada here, when you get an offer of employment, when you have signed everything and the deal has been sealed, they would ask you for your account details. They would also ask you for your SIN number. A SIN number in Canada is like your social insurance number. That number is very confidential. Like it's not something that you should be giving to people randomly. It is not, yes, employers have to ask for it because eventually they will need it. But at that point, you need to have verified the employer, which is some of the things I'll talk about later. But the point is, some of them even ask you for some ridiculous things. Not even just your SIN number, some very random requests. And you're just like, okay. Then at that point, you need to take a step back and see that, look, there's something fishy going on here. So that is another thing that you need to look out for. Let me see if I have any more points that I jotted down. Your credit card information number, that's another thing that I jotted, because sometimes they will just ask you for maybe your PIN number, like things that ordinarily nobody will ask you for. When you start to sense things like that, just ignore, like completely stop replying those emails, completely stop, in fact, just lose all contact with that person. Now, another one is that when it comes to the interview process, most times they don't use credible platform. Well, let me not use the word credible. That's not the word. But they use some random platforms that even a standard employer would not use. A standard employer would probably use Teams, Microsoft Teams, or will probably use, Skype is now outdated, so I don't even think anybody uses Skype anymore. But Microsoft Teams, or what's the other one? I can't even remember. I know that Teams is like the main one right now. But when you start to see things like Google Hangouts, or let me see if I took down any random one. 1 second. Text-free app or text now app, on WhatsApp. Like I've never had any employer interview me on WhatsApp video call. Like it doesn't even make sense. So when you start to see all those random or Telegram, that's another one. When you start to see all those random ones, please just run. Like the truth is that a credible employer would invest in things like Microsoft Teams, because those are like the more professional ones. Okay, so when you start to see things like that, then just know that is not. Just know that is a red flag. And then sometimes you need to be careful when an employer is so much in a hurry to give you an offer. What I mean is that, like, you interview today, in the next 30 minutes, you've gotten an offer of employment. How come? Like, I'm in HR, so I know how at the background, like in behind the scenes, there's a lot that goes on before you actually present an offer to a candidate. So when it happens so quickly and everything is just happening fast, I know that yes, there are some times we're in a hurry to give offers, but when it starts to happen quickly like that, that is when you need to actually go and do your checks to make sure that this employer is valid. I'll be talking about that in a minute. So, I mean, those are some of the points that I just noted down. And sometimes actually follow your intuition as well. Intuition sometimes doesn't fail you. When you look at a job description or you look at a job offer and you see that, and it doesn't just feel right, okay? Maybe you need to actually go back and do some checks. So now, what are the things that you can do? The first one is that put the employer's details in Google. In fact, it's as easy as that, and see what comes up. Sometimes you can even type the employer's name and put space fraud or space fake. When you put some of those keywords like that, you will see what will come out. If it is an employer that has been scamming people before, you will see that you will see searches where people have, or different posts where people have talked about this employer. I know it happened. I did that for one employer at some point in my career where it was looking too good to be true. I just went and I typed the employer in Google. I was not seeing people's experiences, people lamenting and saying, "Oh, don't fall victim, don't fall victim." So that is one way that you can check. Put them on Glassdoor as well. Glassdoor is another good resource. When you put them on Glassdoor, if there are no previous employers that are talking about this employer, then maybe there's something fishy. Or sometimes you would even see the negative reviews on there. So please do your research. Don't ever, I don't see why you should fall victim for this, to some of these things, because, the information is really out there. Go to the company's website. Some actually go through the stress of creating a website, but sometimes you will see that some things are off, because the truth is that they don't even have enough money to even start building like a very credible website. So you'll just see some things that are off along the way. So make sure you do your research. That is one thing that I would say that you should do. And then, also consider only employments that are maybe within the region. Like sometimes most of these scams are from international kind of transactions. What I mean is that you are in a different country and then someone in another country is offering you a job. It's just like here in Canada. I know a lot of people want to come to Canada, which is why they use this as a bait. Because an employer, you just see one random employer here in Canada, then you all the way in Nigeria or Morocco or wherever you are getting an employment. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but most times that is when it's fishy, because they know that you're desperate. They know that if you see an offer from a Canadian employer that is willing to give you a work permit, a visa, everything on point, they know that that is going to sound very juicy to you and you will jump at it. So when it's a cross-border employment like this, then you need to actually do your due diligence and make sure. Go on LinkedIn, type the employer's name there as well. Look for previous employees, or look for current employees if there are any. At least if it's an employer that is valid, then they should have they should have a couple of people, not just one person, that are, they should have people that are working there. You can even take the extra step of reaching out to some of these people and say, "Oh, I got an offer from XYZ company. How is it working with them? Blah, blah, blah." All of those things you need to do. Because trust me, an employer cannot just fall from the sky randomly. They must have an online presence somewhere. They must have at least previous employees. Why do you want to be the first employee working with a particular employer? Well, why? So they must have previous employees that you can be able to make reference to, or you can be able to chat up and see if they are valid. So that's one thing that you can do. Let me see what else I have. Make sure you don't give your banking information anyhow. Before you give your banking information, yes, of course, you need to give your information because you need to get paid, right? So for payroll purposes. But at that point, like I said, the first few steps I just talked about, you must have done that before you give before you give your information out, especially your SIN number. If you're in places like Canada or in the US, I don't know what it's called there, but social insurance numbers in general are very confidential information that should not be given out on any account. So before you get to that point, make sure that you have done your due diligence. And then, when it gets to the point where they are like, "Oh, we need to pay money into your account," don't accept. In fact, just run. And what you should do as well is that go to your bank and make sure you close that account. Because the truth is that, look, you're already compromised. You've given out your information and all of that, so you don't know what next will happen. And you don't want to be in this place. You don't want a situation where you're just on your own, JJ. You, new person, you don't even know what's happening in the city. And then somebody now, police now knocks your door and say, oh, you are involved in money laundering or whatever. Like, that is not something that you want on your record. So the point is, when you discover that something like this has happened, just immediately call your banks. In fact, call them, go there, whatever you need to do, close those accounts and just forget about them completely. Inform them immediately, because the banks also are at stake as well. You don't want their, so whatever you do, just make sure that you close that account. What else is there? If your phone number as well, because the truth is that when you fall victim to some of these things, your phone number is already readily available. Another scammer will be able to call you, because they trust me, sometimes they have a network of themselves. So when you're falling for one and your phone number is already out there, another one can decide to try you and even make their case tighter so that you don't even know that they're also scammers. So since your phone number is already out there, I would advise that if you can, just change your phone number. Change your phone number, get a new number completely, because your information is already out there, you're already compromised. So you want to disconnect from these people completely. So, I mean, those are some of the points that I mentioned. Like those are some of the points that I noted down. But bottom line, like I said before, you just need to be very careful, especially it's a new year. Like I said, they are making plans to make sure that, look, you guys fall victim. So please try as much as possible not to fall victim. It always hurts me when people send me DMs or people send me messages and they're like, oh, this employer, this. One even sent me one. I was like, oh, have I heard of this employer before? You don't even need to send me a DM. Like, just go online and check. Especially they prey on people that want to relocate to other countries. So the US, maybe Canada, the UK, you just see one random person saying they can offer you a job, in Canada, in UK. Like, if it's that easy, trust me, a lot of people would have been getting it. So it's not that easy. So when you see things that are just, that just come to you on a platter of gold, like, oh, they're giving you your visa, they're giving you your work permit, how? So you need to take a step back and think of those things. So please, guys, this is 2022. I don't want any of my subscribers or anybody I know falling victim of this. So please share this video with everyone, like circulate it. Okay, I want people to be aware of this information, because it always breaks my heart when someone has been scammed of their hard-earned money or they fall victim to any of these things. So that's all I have for you in this video. You know how we roll. I'll see you in my next video.